everyone, and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name's Amanda, and in today's video, of course, we had to do some Barbie Nala as today the new Barbie movie released, and I'm sure there's lots of people who are very excited to see it, and it has obviously been something that's very, very trendy at the moment. So we are going full out Barbie, full out pink in today's set. And we are going to be starting off with a base of Poppin' Pink. Now, I actually think Poppin' Pink is a really good Barbie pink shade, especially if you want something that's a little bit on the darker fuchsia pink side rather than like a lighter baby pink. So I'm going to come in and do 2 thin coats of this, curing each coat for 30 seconds in my Kiki London lamp. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Kiki London No White matte top coat and I'm going to put a matte top coat over the top of this colour. Now, the reason I'm putting a matte top coat over is because I want to hand paint on a little Barbie bee, and I always find it easier to hand paint anything a little bit tricky over a matte surface. So I've just popped a thin coat of that on, cured it for 30 seconds, and then for my bee I'm going to take coconut. Now I'm going to be hand painting this on using my stripe liner brush. That is my go-to brush for any kind of hand painted Nala. I use the detail brush quite a lot as well, but I find this one is the one that I gravitate towards the most. Now I'm loading it up with a generous amount of gel polish, but I'm really rolling it through the bristles just to make sure that that gel polish isn't just on the outer bristles of the brush. You want to make sure you've really worked it through. And then I like to just take a little bit of gel polish at a time and break the design down into sections. Now I am not the best at hand painting, so what I did is I went onto Google, had a look at a couple of different bees that would work for the Barbie design, and then I practiced them just with a pen, and then I kept that piece of paper beside me and copied that using my gel polish. And then, like I said, I've just broke it down into sections. So I did the little line first and then come in and started doing the curves, and then we're working on the actual bee. And I like to do it really thin to begin with, because then I can come in and correct the shape and make it a little bit thicker then. So that's exactly what I'm doing now. I'm just going over the top, making those curves a little bit more round, and then just thickening up all of the lines and making sure it's as neat as I could get it. I definitely want to practice hand painting a lot more, but it's quite tricky to actually record because obviously it takes a little bit longer. And then I always find it hard as well when I've got the camera above me to get nice and close to the nails to get a good view of what I'm doing. But I was quite happy with how this bee turned out. It's pretty simple to do. So we're going to cure that for 30 seconds, and then I wanted to add some crystals to these nails. So I've got 2 different shades of the pink crystals. I will leave all of the names of all the products I've used linked in the description box below. So what I'm then going to do to apply my crystals, I'm going to take the Kiki London No White rubber top coat, and I'm going to apply a thin coat of this to all of the nail, even though I'm only applying the crystals up in one side of the cuticle area to get a nice, neat and even look, or a neat and even finish to the nail. You want to make sure you apply that top coat to the whole nail. Then you're going to leave the rubber top coat wet, and using the dotting and gem tool, I'm going to start picking up different sizes and using those 2 different color crystals and just placing them up in the corner and doing a little cuticle cluster. Now what I love about the Kiki London crystals is the pack comes in mixed sizes, so you've got from really, really small to larger. I've mixed them all together in my pot, but of course you could pop them in different size pots if you didn't. I personally prefer to have my crystals mixed together because I find it easier when I'm doing designs like this to just have them all in a dish, and then you're able to pick out the sizes that you need. A lot of the time when you are doing any kind of crystal placement, you're going to find that you're going to need a mix of sizes anyway. So I've personally found it easier to do it this way, and that's why I also think it's brilliant that the packs of crystals give you all of the sizes available, because like I said, when you're doing any kind of design, you will tend to need more than 1 or 2 sizes to complete that look. So all I'm doing here is I'm using the crystal end of the tool to pick my crystals up and place them down into that wet top coat, and then I'm using the dotting tool end, which is nice and teeny tiny, so you're able to really nudge and move those crystals around into place. Then once you are happy with them, you're going to pop this in to cure for 60 seconds, and that is going to cure your crystals in place. Now I want this now to have a matte finish, so I'm going to come over again with a matte top coat, and you want to be really careful when you're applying your matte top coat that you're not going to get any on the crystals. So go nice and slowly as you go up and around those crystals. Another thing that I wanted to mention is it is 10 times easier to apply your crystals with a top coat, especially the no white rubber top coat, compared to a glue, because glue just dries so quickly and you don't get much time to play around with your placement. On to the next design, we're going to start off with a base of Sweetheart. Now I really love Sweetheart because it's kind of a sheer light pink shade. It's not sheer, it has got quite a bit of opacity to it, but it's not as bold and opaque as some of the pinks and nudes in the Kiki collection, but it gives off a really nice glazed effect. I'm trying to pick it up on camera, but it is quite tricky to show, but it works really well for like glazed donut effect nails and things like that. It gives off like a pearlescent chrome effect kind of thing, like if you had an iridescent chrome, for example. It is such a pretty and unique shade. We're not actually going to see a lot of it in this particular design, but I do use it again in another design. So talking of this design, I've taken Pink Me Up, popped it on my palette, and then we're doing a cutout of a heart. So that area where we've applied Sweetheart is going to be like a negative space, and we're going to come in and do our cutout of just a half heart because I felt as though it worked with the Barbie vibe and it meant we could throw a lot more pinks into the set. So I'm coming in with my striped liner brush. I've created that shape, and then I'm just filling in the area again with my striped liner brush because I had that gel polish down on my palette. You could switch to using your bottle brush if you wanted, but when you're working on smaller nails or you're not working on long nails like this, it's a lot easier to fill in the section with your strap liner brush. So I was just coming down at the top part of that curve, bringing it in a little bit so it gives us more of the deep edge to the heart. Then we're going to pop that into cure for 30 seconds, and because I wanted this pink to really pop against the Sweetheart base, I'm going to come in again and do a second coat. So we're really carefully going around the edge of that heart, trying to keep it as neat and as crisp as possible. The striped liner brush is great for long, curved or straight lines like this because you've got a lot of control over the brush. Just let the brush do the work for you. As you can see, I'm anchoring my little finger onto my thumb. This helps balance and kind of helps steady your hand so you're not as shaky. And then you're able to just drag that brush down into the area that you want it to go in. And then just by applying a little bit of pressure, you're able to apply the gel polish but get a nice, clean, crisp line. So we're going to pop that in to cure for 30 seconds as well. And then I want to come around and add 2 more lines of pink. So we're going to take Pop In Pink to begin with because I wanted to tie in all of the colours together, although you might not necessarily wear this set together as a whole set because it's quite a lot of Nala. But I wanted to tie all the colours in so it looked cohesive. And all we're going to do here is just go along the edge of the original Pink Me Up heart shape that we created. So again, working with my brush exactly the same as before, letting the brush do a lot of work for me. I find my biggest tip is probably that of anchoring your little finger onto your thumb. This will work as well when you're holding your client's finger. You can anchor your finger, your little finger onto them sometimes as well if you can't do it onto your thumb, and it just helps steady you as you are applying your gel polish, which obviously a steady hand is needed when doing any kind of hand painting. So I popped I popped Pop In Pink, that line we've just done there, in for a 10-second flash cure. This feature is on the Kiki London Deluxe LED lamp, and the 10-second flash cure is just going to freeze your gel polish in place so that then when I come in and do this line, if I make any mistakes, I can clean it up without disturbing the Pop In Pink. Now the 10-second flash cure doesn't fully cure the gel polish. You do need to make sure that you still pop the nail in for a full 30-second cure. But here you can see here, I'm able to take my angled nail art brush and a little bit of alcohol, clean up that line we've just done with the watermelon sugar without disturbing the Pop In Pink. And then because that's that now finished, we're going to pop that in for a full 30-second cure. After I did this, I thought you could actually continue going with other shades of pink and completely fill in that heart And I think that would give off a really good effect as well. So I might have to give that a try. I did decide that I wanted to have this now matte. So I'm going to come in with a matte top coat. And this is what the finish looked like. Really, really simple, but I thought it looked really, really cute. Again, on to the next now, we've already got our base of Sweethearts. We've done 2 coats of Sweetheart. And then on this now, I want to do a double French, but I didn't necessarily want it to look too much like a French nail. I want to go more for the colour block look. So all the pinks we've used are quite similar, so it doesn't necessarily stand out as a extended nail bed base with the Sweetheart. If you wanted it to pop more and look more like a French, you could reach for a more nude shade rather than a pink shade for your base. But as you can see, I've loaded up my French brush and I've pretty much already done the first coat of this. So we'll talk through the steps for the second coat. I always like to do my French in 2 coats just so that colour does pop and is nice and even and opaque over whatever colour base you have done. So we're going to load up the French brush with a generous amount of gel polish. I place it down flat against the nail, flip it over and do exact same on the other side and just stroke that gel polish down. Then flip the brush around so you've got the longer end of the bristles, and you can use these to drag down the nail and create the wings of your French if you are wanting a more deeper elongated C curve. Then I always like to come in and clean up with my angled nail art brush just to make sure I'm getting a really nice crisp smile line. I didn't do this on the first coat because I didn't feel as though it needed it, but I definitely like to do it on the second coat just to get that nice clean sharp look. If you haven't got the French brush, it is another brush I would highly recommend. I cannot do a French nail without it. In this design, we're then going to add in a little bit of Glisten Up, which is a really pretty pink. It's kind of like a transparent jelly pink gel, and then it has gold glitters in it. It is super, super pretty. And it's one of those colors that looks slightly different depending on the color you're popping it over. So here, because we're popping it over a pink, it's going to show the pink up a little bit more, but this looks really, really nice over whites and creams and nudes as well. Again, it's another really, really unique shade. So we're going to do exactly the same as we did with the chick flick. We're just going to come in and do the French tip, but we're going to do it just slightly further down the nail to create that double French color block look. I'm not going to use the ends of the bristles to create too much of a deep C curve, but I am just going to take it down a little bit just so it looks consistent with the pink tip that we've got underneath. And it just added that little something extra to the design because I wanted these nails to look really, really extra. Also, by the way, let me know in the comments below, are you going to watch the new Barbie movie? My daughter, she's already planned to go and see it this afternoon with one of her friends, and I'm really excited to hear all about it because I really want to watch it myself. As a kid, I was obsessed, and I mean obsessed, with Barbie. So it's really cool to see it be trendy as an adult and everyone excited over Barbie again. So on that nail, we did just come in with the No Wipe rubber top coat just to finish that off. I do like to use the rubber top coat over any kind of gel polish designs where I've added layers just because it gives you that super smooth finish. But if you don't want to use the No Wipe rubber top coat, you can use the original No Wipe top coat. That will give you a super high shine as well. Now on this nail, I wanted to do an ombre between the Sweetheart and the Glisten Up because I really wanted to include a little bit more of this Glisten Up in the set because it is so, so pretty and it definitely gives off those Barbie vibes. So we're coming in, we've applied a Sweetheart to half the nail and then we've applied a Glisten Up to the other half of the nail, and these 2 colors, where they aren't fully opaque, are super easy to blend. They're the kind of shades that if you're just practicing or starting out in ombres, I would highly recommend reaching for these. Anything with a glitter or shimmer to it, ombre is so much easier, and the slightly more opaque shades, the slightly more sheer shades will ombre a lot easier than full-on opaque shades. But if you've watched the Kiki London channel, you will know that I find a lot of their colours really easy to ombre with because they all have quite a nice creamy consistency. So here you can see we're coming in, we're doing that second coat of the ombre, and it is so easy to blend together with the ombre brush. We're literally just having to blend out the centre where those 2 colours meet, and the Glisten Up melts into the Sweetheart with just no effort at all. It was such a simple blend and it looks so pretty because it gives off that effect that the Glisten Up is slightly underneath the Sweetheart, and I really, really like that look. So we're going to come over the top of this with a little bit of nail art. So we're going to do some stripes sorry, some swirls, not stripes, some swirly sort of stripes, just to add a little bit more of pink to the design. So I'm going to take Popping Pink and Watermelon Sugar, and I believe we also come in with Pink Me Up because I wanted to make sure we got quite a bit of pink on this nail. So I've popped those three shades down onto my palette, and then we're going to stick with that stripe liner brush and draw on our swirls. And for this design, again, I'll be utilizing that 10-second flash cure feature. So we're going to come in first of all with the Popping Pink. As you can see, like I said when I was doing the B, I like to really load up the stripe liner brush but work that gel polish through the bristles and then take off some of the excess, and then letting that brush do all the work for me. You're just guiding it in the direction you want it to go in. If you want a fairly thin line, then don't apply too much pressure to your brush. I like to go in thinner than I might want my finished design to look like, because then I can go over the top, neaten it up, and that is going to make it a little bit thicker. If you want it to go in with a thicker line to begin with, then you want to apply a little bit more pressure to your brush, and that's going to allow it to fan out a little bit more and give you the thicker line. So I flash cured Popping Pink, and then we're going to come in with Watermelon Sugar and just follow the curve of that previous swirl. So the first one is kind of like the hardest one to do. Once you've got that one down, the second, third, fourth, fifth, however many swirls you are doing are a lot easier because you're just following and using that first swirl as a guide. So that's exactly what we've done here with the Watermelon Sugar. Then we've flash cured that for 10 seconds, and then we're going to go in with Pink Me Up. In between all of the colours, I am cleaning my brush on one of the Kiki London alcohol wipes. So I just run it over a couple of times just to pull all of that colour off. And then sometimes if it's been a little bit stubborn and I don't want to use too much alcohol on my brush, I'll run my brush through some clear base coat, and that helps pull all of the colour that you've used on your brush off. This is a great way to clean and condition your brushes as well. So a lot of the time, if I've done a lot of heavy nail art and I've used a lot of alcohol to clean my brush, what I'll do is before putting it away, I'll just run it through a little bit of clear base coat and then run it off on a dry pad, like a dry lint-free pad, just to remove that clear base coat, and it kind of nicely conditions your brush and it stops it drying out from all of the alcohol use. Then again, we're going to come in and use the No Work rubber top coat just to seal everything in. Again, because we've got these swirls sitting on the surface of our ombre, it can look slightly, like ever so slightly raised. So by using the rubber top coat, it super smooths that all out where it's a slightly thicker consistency top coat. And just look at the gorgeous high shine it has. And I love that you can see the glisten up peeking through. Now on the last nail in this design, I had to include a marble. Whenever I'm doing any kind of nail art where I've done and used lots of colours, I love to throw in a marble where you can use all of those colours and just see it all marbled together. So I'm using the new Kiki London Classic White. This is their Hema Free White. It's from their Hema Free range. If you haven't already checked that out, I will leave a link in the description box below to the Hema Free range video. It's obviously brilliant for anyone who has any allergies to the Hema that is in gel polish. The standard or the classic Kiki London range has quite low levels of Hema anyway, but it's great that there is now the Hema Free range on offer for everyone to check out if you do have any allergies. So we've done our 2 coats of white for our base, and then I'm literally going to take all of the pinks that I used in this set and we're going to create a marble with them. So I'm just taking them all and placing them down on my palette just in little lines across the nail, across the palette. And then you want to make sure that these colours are touching so that when you drag through them, they marble nicely. But do always check that you're not contaminating your bottle brush with the previous colour that is on your palette. Now, Sweetheart did get overtaken in this design, so did Glisten Up by some of the more creamy pigmented colours, but I still really loved the effect that having them in there created, because it kind of give off a bit of a jelly effect in certain areas of the marble. So as you can see there, I just swirled them together using my dotting tool, and then I'm going to take the Kiki London blooming gel and we're going to apply a thin coat of this to the entire nail. You really don't need a thick layer of this, keep it nice and thin, and then we're going to leave that wet so you don't pop your blooming gel in to cure. Then we're going to take the Kiki London round brush and we're simply going to use this to scoop up our marble and lay it down into that wet blooming gel. And I'm just sort of wriggling it off my brush. The blooming gel is going to help pull it from the brush. And then we're just guiding that through that blooming gel, and then I'm just sort of pulling it down the nail. I didn't want to fully cover the entire nail. I want a little bit of that white to peek through. So I'm just placing it down in areas. And because we've used quite a lot of colours, they are going to mush together, but it gives off this really fun watercolour effect when you do it like this. And then once you're happy of how that is placed down, you can play around with it as much as you want. You're going to pop it into cure and then come in and top coat. So we're just going to come in and once again with that no wipe rubber top coat, because sometimes marbles on the nails can be a little bit uneven, and I'm quite fussy. I like my nails to feel super smooth, so I tend to reach for the no wipe rubber top coat the most. And then once we've popped that into cure, that is the finished design of this one. I really, really love this now. I just thought it'd give off a bit of a tie-dye watercolor effect. But that, guys, is all of our nails done. Let me know what you thought in the comments below of this design. Which was your favorite nail? And don't forget to tell me if you're offered to see the new Barbie movie. And if you do see it, let me know your thoughts on it. As always, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you aren't already subscribed to the channel, please do hit that subscription button. And I shall see you all again next Friday. Lots of love. Bye-bye.